Good morning, Parksville. I'm at the Englishman River. It's early May, and what you're seeing behind me is what the province is officially calling a record low water level. Let's talk about that. The way I see it, a big part of the role of mayor is making sure the community knows their concerns are being heard and then doing the work to understand how these concerns can best be addressed through council and city staff together. That's the job, and that's what I'm running to do. And water is exactly the kind of issue that deserves that approach. First, a genuine thank you to our city staff and this council for the ongoing water study and the work being done every day to ensure Parksville has safe, reliable drinking water. That work matters, and I don't take it for granted. Earlier this term, I brought a motion to council that got an important conversation started, making sure that phase 2 of the water study, which we expect in June, gets integrated into our official community plan review, so water supply is front and center as we plan for Parksville's future. Phase 2 should also be looking at further water storage options, expanding our capacity to capture and hold water during wetter months so we're not entirely dependent on snowpack and river flow during the dry season. That's part of the long-term solution, and I want to make sure it's part of the conversation. Now, studies do show that Parksville has sufficient drinking water capacity, and current information shows we have ample water for fire protection as well. But here's the gap I'm hearing about, and I think it's real and worth discussing openly. Local government has two non-negotiable obligations when it comes to water: drinking water and fire protection. Those are the city's two core obligations, and staff are clear about that in every piece of communication around water. Beyond those two priorities, the question of what level of outdoor water use a city is implicitly supporting is one that many communities on Vancouver Island have never had to formally ask because until recently, they simply didn't need to. But longer, drier summers and lower snowpack becoming the new normal, that conversation is arriving whether we're ready for it or not. What uses are we accommodating when supply allows? How do we communicate that honestly to residents? These are questions worth getting ahead of together. And of course, this is when water demand is at its highest. Summer and drought periods are exactly when gardens, trees, landscaping need the most help, precisely because there's no rain to do that work naturally. The system is under the most pressure at exactly the moment people need it most. On May the 7th, the Coastal Fire Center ban came into effect, and according to CKNW, it's the earliest open burning ban for the Coastal Fire Center on record. And BC's government's own drought monitoring portal is showing the river right here at a record low water level rating, running well below its daily average flow. That data is live, it's from the province, and it's worth every resident in Parksville taking a moment to look at. Last summer, with snowpack at 39%, Parksville reached level 4 water restrictions by August 1st. This year's snowpack is even lower than last year's. Based on what we're seeing, hitting level 4 again this summer and potentially earlier is a genuine concern. That's not alarmist, that's just where the data is pointing. Our conservation bylaw exempts essential municipal sports fields from restrictions, and that's justified. Those are significant public investments. But residents are asking a fair question. If the city's landscaping investments are protected, what about theirs? Their established gardens, their mature trees, their considerable investments that took years to build. The current framework assumes the summer demand problem is mostly about lawn watering. I'm not sure that's the full picture anymore, and I think that gap deserves an honest conversation. And layered on top of all of this, the emails, conversation over coffee, and chats at the door are raising something else entirely. People are asking how we can responsibly add housing density to Parksville. Provincial and federal housing targets are real, and increasing market supply is part of addressing affordability for people who want to live here. But residents are asking a fair question. How do we pursue those targets responsibly without getting clear answers about outdoor water availability? Drinking water and fire protection capacity is one thing, but what does increased density mean for overall water demand during a level 4 restriction summer? That's a question our community is asking, and it's exactly the kind of question that phase 2 of the water study and the OCP review need to address together. Most emails and conversations aren't asking me to stop housing. They're asking me to make sure we're making those decisions with the fullest possible picture of what our water future actually looks like for the Englishman River, for people already living here, and for our community. My voice is one vote at that table, but it's a vote I'll cast carefully and a conversation I intend to keep having. I'm Sean Wood, running for Mayor of Parksville on October 17th. If this sounds like the Parksville you want, I'd love your support, and I'd love it if you shared this with someone who feels the same way. Thank you, Parksville, and have a great day.